For Christmas, I received the book At Our Wit's End by Dutton and Woodley of Menie. I have harbored an ambition to read through books from the distant right and review them. I will review based on my own set of metrics. I am not schooled in how to review things, but I am able to read, and I know if I like it or not. Therefore my review might not be helpful, but it may help some. I believe that a book is good if it is easy to read. If the book fights me and stands in my way as I try to read it, then it is failing in its purpose, which is for me to read it. Thus I will review the book along the following metrics. Size. Is the book convenient to handle? If not, this represents a barrier to it being read. Title. Is the title clear, informative, and memorable? Appearance. Is the book pleasing to the eye? Can I recognize it from its spine if I want to find it on a bookshelf? Language. Is the font too small and difficult to read? Are the paragraphs too long? Are the sentences unwieldy? Is the vocabulary too specialized? Figures and footnotes. Is there enough of either? How are they presented, and in what frequency? Style and substance. How is the information conveyed? Is it broad or narrow, shallow or deep? Let us examine At Our Wit's End with these categories in mind. Size. The book is 206 pages long, about 9 1/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches by 3/4 of an inch. It is not a gigantic encyclopedia. It does not get heavy in the hand, and it is not too large for easy storage. Title. The title is large and immediately legible. The title is a bit long, but it tells you what to expect in the book. You will not start this book and then discover that it is not about what you expected. You know where you stand from the very beginning. Appearance. The book cover is a gentle grayscale and is easy on the eye rather than having too much stark black framed by white. The spine is white with the title in black. You will have no trouble locating this book among many on your bookshelf. Language. The book uses simple language and concise sentences. This means that at no point do I get bogged down in the actual reading of the book. The font is a comfortable size. Sentences, paragraphs, passages, and even chapters are no longer than they need to be. This allows me to cover point after point quickly and efficiently. I feel like I am making progress, and this spurs me on. The vocabulary is not technical, but remains precise. Ideas are explained in layman's terms, possibly grossly dumbed down for me, but useful enough for me to grasp the thesis. If I want technical detail, the authors have provided relevant citations. Just as I am summarizing the book to you without reading it to you, the authors summarize the research without making me read it all. Occasionally, the authors take time to address naysayers, people who might take issue with the book and its content. I am not a naysayer, so these passages seemed unnecessary. They were not aimed at me, and yet I was forced to read them. Still, they may benefit other readers. The passages are not too long or distracting, but I noticed them. I might have preferred that the authors ignore the naysayers, let the naysayers worry about their naysaying, and let the authors get on with the book. Of course, I am biased. Figures and footnotes. The book is generously footnoted with citations. I appreciate that the citations appear on the pages where they are mentioned. A research paper will tend to put them all at the end, and you have to keep flicking through pages to find where a reference belongs. The authors have a tendency to cite themselves. It is not a brutally obvious point, but it can smack of the authors laundering references. I am aware that there is only a limited pool of researchers available from which to cite. I would have preferred more tables of data and graphs, but that was a personal preference. A typical person might be intimidated by too many graphs. As with the sentences being no longer than they must be, the book contains no more graphs than it needs. This gives the book clean lines. When there are too many tables and graphs, the pertinent text in the book can get separated from them, with the graph being introduced pages before it appears. The authors avoided this pitfall and the attendant confusion. Style and substance. We begin with a very simple and direct example of the core thesis of the book. We used to have concord and now we do not. Why not? Right away we are in no doubt as to what the book claims. All that remains is the proof. As for the proof, the book is written in layman's terms. I am not a scientist, but I follow the logic easily. The book itself is laid out logically too. The book claims that we are becoming less intelligent, so we start with an explanation of what intelligence is. We are becoming less intelligent for genetic reasons, so it is explained why intelligence might have a genetic component. The decline in intelligence is due to the current levels of comfort, therefore one would expect the opposite to be true, increasing intelligence when things are uncomfortable. Chapter 4 illustrates the evidence that intelligence did increase leading up to the Industrial Revolution. Personality is an important factor in intelligence and in genius, so there is a chapter for personality. So it goes. I am given the information that I need to understand the thesis of the book. I am not rushed into getting it or blindsided by it. The chapters are focused and not too dense. The authors understand that to understand what they claim, you must have an appreciation of certain things. So they take the time to tell you those things, one at a time, and in good order. Overall, the book does very well on each of the metrics that I described. From the moment you decide to read this book, it presents no obstacles to you. The book wants you to read it, and lets you read it. This book is achieving its purpose. Therefore, if you want to read this book, you are highly likely to find it very easy to read, and therefore very enjoyable. The book was a gift, so I was not confronted with a price. Perhaps the price might be the only fight this book offers you, but I'm not going to hold it accountable for its price. This review, and others, ignores price. I enjoyed this book. The authors have presented me with very detailed ideas and facts in a way that is effortless for me to consume. The authors have prepared me a meal where the meat falls off the bone. I hardly need to cut it with a knife. Once I have decided that I want to read this book, and I can decide this from the title alone, there are no more obstacles to me reading it and comprehending it. Would I read this book twice? Maybe not. I have read it, I have understood it. I feel satisfied that I do not need to read it again. At the same time, I feel reassured that I could read it again if I wanted to. It is definitely a book that I like owning. I would recommend purchasing the book.